I think then probably it might be best to get started with the panelists we have in case Ahmad cannot join. And then if he's able to join, great, and we'd love to get his perspective. But otherwise, we know that we only have Pam until 9, so we should probably go ahead and get started. So welcome everyone to 1 Million Cups Mankato. We're excited to have you all here. Thank you for joining us. Today we have a panel discussion planned. We have Nancy Goodwin with Goodwin Consulting, Linda Wallace with Region 9 Development Commission, Pam Bishop with Smith, and then we're supposed to have Ahmad Kiblawi, the owner of Shawarmania, with us as well. Unfortunately, for those of you just joining us, it looks like we might have given him the wrong date. So we're trying to get Ahmad, but if we can't get him today, we apologize for that. I'd like to thank the 1 Million Cups organizers. If the organizers can go around and introduce themselves.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Hahn, and I'm the Regional Director for the South Central Small Business Development Center, which is hosted here at Minnesota State University, Mankato.
I am Ryan Vesey. I'm an Economic Development Specialist with Greater Mankato Growth.
I'm Bobby Drangler, Citizens Voices, Mankato, Minnesota. Wonderful day.
Good morning, Gary Shadd, also with the SBDC. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Yvonne Carvo from the Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship and a business called Internet Connections.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah Hansen, co-owner of Functional Chiropractic Rehab. And if any of the mods have access to the Facebook page, the link is not on there. So I've already had 2 people contact me for it. If someone is able to post it on there, that would be awesome. Thank you.
Okay. We'd like to thank our sponsors. We have Minnesota State University Mankato, Pioneer Bank, Connect Business Magazine, SCORE, Pinnacle Business Traction, the Tailwind Group, Dunkin' Donuts, and Mogwai Collaborative. The mission of 1 Million Cups is to lower the barrier of access to education, resources, and connection for all types of new and aspiring entrepreneurs throughout the United States. We do that by meeting once a week and giving entrepreneurs the opportunity to share their story. 1 Million Cups is a national organization driven by the local efforts at each individual 1 Million Cups community. So next, Yvonne will share 2 polls. We want to know 2 things. This is used by the Kauffman Foundation to understand the effectiveness of 1 Million Cups. First, is this your first time coming to a 1 Million Cups event? And second, do you consider yourself to be an entrepreneur?
Looks like a lot of first timers today. Well, maybe not.
The results are in, and it looks like we have 7 first-time participants. So thank you all for joining us today. We also have 13 people on the call today who consider themselves to be entrepreneurs. Okay. So some of the key pillars of a 1 Million Cups presentation, which we're not doing today. Today is a panel discussion, but when we have 1 Million Cups presentations, they are presentations, they are not sales pitches. Our goal is to create connections between the people and not just a normal networking event where it's a simple opportunity to meet other people, but nothing comes out of it. And then we're trying to run it by the community. That's why it gets run by us locally and not by the organization nationally. And finally, we're trying to be as intentionally inclusive as we can be. The core program of 1 Million Cups is held weekly on Wednesday mornings. Two presenters each have the opportunity to present for 6 minutes, followed by 20 minutes of Q&A. The businesses that we like to see present are less than 5 years old and have a desire to learn. Finally, we end each presentation with the question, what can we as a community do for you? All of our events are free, they're open to the public, and when we're meeting in person, we have free coffee for everyone. Okay, so now we'll get into the panel. Again, the panelists are Nancy Goodwin with Goodwin Consulting and the SBDC, Pam Bishop with the Southern Minnesota Initiative Foundation, Linda Wallace with Region 9 Development Commission. We're hoping to have Ahmad Kiblawi with Shawarmania on the panel. Unfortunately, this mistake is on us. We did provide Ahmad with the wrong date, so we're trying to see if we can get him onto the panel. If not, we apologize. Finally, Lisa County was supposed to be the moderator. She had a last minute issue, so she's not able to make it. So you guys have me today. I'll try to help moderate the panel and with some support from Mike Hahn and Yvonne. Okay, so to start this off, I think I want to start by going to Pam Bishop, since we know you need to leave the panel at 9 o'clock. So Pam and Linda both are involved with the Prosperity Initiative, Pam through Smith and Linda through Region 9. So if you guys can talk about the Prosperity Initiative and what that opportunity looks like for people.
Sure. Thank you, Ryan. I'm Pam Bishop with the Southern Minnesota Initiative Foundation. We've been fortunate to have the Prosperity Initiative in our portfolio of services for the last 4 years. Originally seeded by the Department of Employment and Economic Development, we have a number of key funders now that support our ability to deliver the Prosperity Initiative to upwards to 15 to 20 clients a year. And Region 9 Development Commission is certainly a partner, an effective partner in this program. Our aim is to eliminate barriers for minority-owned businesses and to create resources and to help navigate and increase network opportunities. We've seen 60 plus individuals graduate from our program. We've seen tremendous opportunities for clients and restaurants and service businesses from across our 20 counties that we serve. We've seen a heavy proportion of folks served in the Mankato area, as well as the Rochester area. This year, we've been digging deep into some of our smaller communities to kind of lift up and lift out those entrepreneurs who are in our communities, who have chosen to live in these small towns and who are needing assistance in either starting or growing their company.
Awesome. Linda, is there anything you'd want to add onto the Prosperity Initiative? Linda, I believe you're on mute.
There. I was going to say, this is a very good program for a young entrepreneur. If they need help knowing what to do, I mean, they get a consultant that will work with them. We give them resources and we work with them, help them get started and those basic things that they need to know. And it's a very good program that gets them going.
Awesome. Thank you, Linda. And now, before turning back to that, I will quickly turn to Nancy Goodwin. Nancy, can you introduce yourself and talk about some of the resources you're familiar with?
Sure. Nancy Goodwin, Goodwin Consulting, business development specialist and a marketer. I too have had the honor of working with Pam and the team over at Smith multiple years now with the Prosperity Initiative program and with their Feast program. I'm on a contract with the SBDC serving a wide variety of clients who are either brand new startups, business plans, feasibility, that sort of thing, and some marketing projects with them. And I'm also on contract with DEED with the state for agencies like vocational rehabilitation, state services for the blind, et cetera, for their clients that want to start a business instead of get a job. And my work with the Prosperity Initiative was an eye-opener on how much more we need to lean in to make ourselves accessible to our new neighbors, new citizens, people who are here from another place and just really are not quite sure how to navigate the service modalities that are available. And so language barriers, but also cultural differences and lack of understanding. So it's become a passion, and it's something that we just need to keep leaning in on, keep lifting it up, and a deep bow of gratitude to Smith for making it happen. And then to the SBDC and to the Million Cups for saying, let's team up, let's get together and make this more ground level entry, easy to find, more accessibility.
Awesome. I'll step in here too. I have some additional questions, but let people know if you have questions that come up as we're speaking. I'll happily, rather than pushing all the questions towards the end, I'll happily work them in as they come up. So please feel free to post your questions in chat. If the other hosts can also keep an eye on that for me, that would be much appreciated. But one of the comments that was brought up as the three of you were speaking was accessibility. So this sounds like a great program for people. What is being done to make sure that it is accessible to the people that it is serving?
Well, I'll just jump in and encourage the rest of the panelists to also share. I think one of the things that we're striving to do is to increase our community stakeholder engagement. Trying to work with leaders in the community who are connected to these individuals who are living and working in our communities. Nancy Goodwin is a great example of someone who has strong connections. So we lean on referrals from individuals who perhaps already have a relationship or have identified folks that need the kind of help that the Prosperity Initiative can offer. So by no means can we do this without the great networks and the caring and genuine and authentic people that we have in our communities who sincerely want these folks to have as much assistance as possible. Right now, we work with approximately 20 coaches at any given time. And I sincerely say we work with them because they are the hands, they are the glue that really make this program work. And we also are working with the SBDC. Mike, I can't say how important you folks are in our region and how your connections are helping us then make connections back. We also have an SBA program, which we can also offer to clients who are in this program. And sometimes they generate leads for us because as folks are coming in to borrow money, they oftentimes aren't in the position to borrow money yet. They need to have a business plan. They need to have a solid understanding of the vision for their company. So there's a multitude of ways as to what I'm hoping we provide accessibility, but we also know there's many more learnings that we have to gain from just the experience of doing this program each and every year.
Okay. One other program that got brought up in our past discussions that was similar to the Prosperity Initiative. However, it's my understanding people cannot apply for services themselves. They need the city that they are living and working in to apply, but that is the REV program. Can any of the panelists speak to the REV program?
Sure. Oh, go ahead, Linda, jump in. Jump in.
REV is a rural entrepreneur program, and the cities are the ones that apply for it. And in that program, we are looking for the entrepreneurs that's within the cities. And the city works with their entrepreneurs and find resources for them and stuff. Pam probably can give a little bit better explanation on it. I work with Pam Smith and the University of Minnesota Extension.
Okay.
So Ryan, just to add on to what Linda has started, it's important, anyone can really apply for the program, okay? It's a grassroots program that can be led by a whole host of folks. In the past and traditionally it's led by economic development teams. A fiscal agent is what's key. So we need to have a 501c3 organization that's willing to be the receiver of any funds. There's no cost to be a part of the program, and there's really no funds that are transferred. It's not a grant program. It's a process. It's a 3-year commitment by communities to really hone in on developing economic strategies that support a local grown economy. In other words, working with entrepreneurs who are in their kitchens, their basements, their garages, you know, doing great work that sometimes isn't always apparent to the people on the ground working day in and day out. Yesterday, in fact, was our deadline for application to start in January, a 3-year commitment. I believe we'll be extending that. So if you're a community joining us today in our 20 counties, I'd encourage you to strongly consider applying. I don't know how long of an extension we will provide, but it's a very simple application. Linda is one of the coaches and has done a great job. Jennifer Hawkins with the University of Minnesota Extension Service is also engaged as a coach, as well as a few folks on the Smith staff. So it's another way to lift up your entrepreneurs. We're looking at layering the Prosperity Initiative into the REV community starting in January. So if you're a REV community, you're automatically going to be able to receive the services that the Prosperity Initiative offers so that we can help grow, again, the diverse base of populations that are wanting to start companies. So I'd strongly encourage you to take a peek. It's on our website, and we hope that you will consider making an application.
Or if you know a community that's interested, pass it along, because it's a great program and I find it a lot of fun. It's interesting to learn about another community. It's just really, really interesting.
Okay. And so another one of the resources that's been brought up quite a bit is the SBDC. So would someone like to speak to the services that the SBDC offers, especially those, you know, that could be utilized well by a diverse community?
Sure, you bet. Once again, good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Hahn. I'm the Regional Director for the South Central SBDC at Minnesota State Mankato. Basically, the SBDC services are provided to businesses for free of charge. The consulting services are free of charge. The trainings and the sessions are free or very low cost as well. But we have about 10 or more consultants that are in different disciplines of business. So if you need help in QuickBooks, if you need help in marketing, if you need help with basically developing that business plan, in financing, we have a consultant that will work with you free of charge to kind of get you through that process. When you talk about the SBDC, you know, we have basically many different consultants that work with different minority communities throughout our region. And it kind of comes down to, you know, we get into areas in which specifically we can maybe tap into different resources and put that business plan together, maybe look for some micro loans or potentially some grants that could be feasible as well. But it's kind of tailored for the person, from any person possible. And we kind of take a look at the entire financial realm to see what's available. So, you know, when we look at our region, we are very diverse. And our region basically goes from Le Sueur down to the Iowa border and from Waseca all the way over to Springfield. And we have very different, you know, as far as counties, but we also have different pockets of minority business groups that have also been very successful in getting up and about. And maybe I'll have Nancy kind of talk a little bit about some of those groups, especially in Ontowan County, in our western part of the region, that have been successful and what they've done for financing. Nancy?
I actually was drifting away from your conversation for a moment. I was getting a message back to Brian. I heard what you said. I just have to gather my thoughts. And you're talking about alternative style or types of financing.
Right.
one of the biggest things that I observe in our the different population groups that we were able to work with is there's a lot of determination and pride in the individuals who want to start a business and figuring it out on their own and working with their families to raise money, and the people work together, not expecting a paycheck right away to help make things go. I'm working with, as coaching a client right now who's doing that exact thing. Like her son works without pay to do scheduling and payroll and help with the management. And it's very, very normal for that to happen. But I also have been able to connect a couple of clients in the past to a special fund that Smith had available that offered a technically a no interest loan option. It's a small pot. I don't know if there's any available right now. Pam, is there in that fund?
I'm sorry, which pot are you talking about, Nancy? We have so much money going out the door right now.
The one where if it's not part of a person's belief, culture, etc., to use a regular loan with interest, so
Yes,
that
we do.
interest free.
Yeah.
So
We
there
do
is
have
money
some
in that
funds.
pot.
Yes, we do.
Okay. Good, good, good. So then the other option is getting the business owner or the team of business owners to get to know their community a little bit more, introduce them to local bankers, introduce them to local organizations like the SBDC that can help guide them through the loan writing process. But financing often comes from a network of people. I've got a client down in St. James right now who has like 5 different family members who are all pitching in their extra money from their paychecks to help finance the launch of this young woman's business. It's pretty unique. And good morning, Habiba, because I can't chat you. Good to see you.
Hey, good morning, Bakata. I might be tapping you here in a few minutes if you don't mind.
I'm going to quick turn to Pam as she does need to hop off. Pam, do you have any last comments you'd like to make before you need to leave?
Sure, just a couple. First of all, I want to thank you all. Many of you joining today's meeting are key partners in our work. And, you know, we rely on partnerships and collaborations with everything we do. So I first of all wanted to say thank you for the work you're doing. Secondly, we do have a spot or two remaining open in our Prosperity Initiative cohort for 2020. It's not too late to get involved and receive the 30+ hours of free service that you'll get as an entrepreneur. I just ask that if you're interested that you submit an application. It's very brief. If you don't have a business plan, hook up with Mike or someone within the SBDC. I know Wendy Anderson has been very helpful as well in getting some of our clients on board with a very simple business plan. And it's a quick review, a quick process, and we get you hooked up with some great coaches. So I would just offer that up and say thank you for the opportunity. Thank you all partners who have been engaged in the Prosperity Initiative. And Ryan, thank you for giving us the opportunity to be part of this great panel. And I wish you all a great day.
Thank you for joining us, Pam. Okay, I only have one more question for the panelists. Following my final question for the panelists, again, if other people have questions for the panelists, please feel free to jump in. And then the other thing we'd like from this discussion is, what are the resources we didn't know about going into this? And I think we have people on this call who might know about some more available resources. So I'd happily, if you're aware of resources that you want to share, I'd happily have you speak up and talk about those. My final question for the panelists is, there's a lot of talk about coaching and consulting. What is the difference between coaching services and consulting services?
Well, I'll speak to it real quickly. And then I'd like to hear, you know, Linda, maybe your observation too, and anybody else that wants to pitch in. But the difference that when I first started working with the Prosperity Initiative, and I was also working with the SBDC is a consulting role. And it's really more of the technical side of bringing people up to speed, helping them explore what it means to be an entrepreneur, helping them do their plans. The coaching adds a layer to that, and that is where you just go a little deeper and frankly on the personal side of things, get to know your entrepreneur. What is their capacity, not only for being a business owner as far as knowledge, but who they are as a human and what their big world capacity is with their families and everything else. I actually had the honor of doing some of this with Habiba several years ago. We had a lovely walkthrough together on what it means to be in business, and she has gone way past all that and is doing amazing things in the community. So I hope you'll speak up today, Habiba, on any thoughts you might have to share. But coaching, I always say it's like you got to put your arm around somebody a little bit and help them walk through that process to figure out where their capacity is and what they really want to do. And sometimes it means it takes longer. 30 hours goes by really fast trying to help somebody go through that process. So I'm always looking for ways to drive that service a little bit deeper. And I've actually spoken to Mike Hahn about this when we first met, and he's been super supportive. And some of the past PI could become SBDC clients so they could continue to receive services after they ran out of hours in that program. And so I'm super excited about us all putting our heads together on this.
Awesome. Did any of the other panelists have any comments on, or anyone else in this group have any comments on coaching versus consulting? If so, please feel free to speak up.
I think Gary had a question.
Yep. And then
Yes, Ryan, I took my hand down there. I didn't really have a comment about the coaching, but in terms of resources, 2 comments. One specific in terms of SCORE is another avenue where volunteers help mentoring, and someone we can talk more about that if people have questions, but that's a mentoring level. You talk about coaching and so forth, where they're not really doing the consulting, but can be a good mentor sounding board for a new business startup. Secondly, a goal of the 1 Million Cups is build a community of support as a resource that we're doing today. And my question would be to any of the, not just the panelists, but any of the participants, are there other communities, particularly in the diverse communities, that those communities may have subsets, subgroups within them that are helpful to people in their community to get started? But so some of you may have some communities that we may not be all aware of that are helping businesses navigate and get up and running. So I kind of a question there, but also to point out there's communities, peer networks that can be very powerful, and people should look for those and connect to them.
Hey, Mankato, can you address that maybe from your perspective? Because you and I have had that conversation in the past.
Yeah, so actually I think Nancy had kind of directed some thoughts to Habiba. And so if Habiba can share just the thoughts with Nancy, and then Habiba might be able to share too about what's in her community, and then I can absolutely share my thoughts as well.
Sure. Thank you, Bukata. I think on adding to the coaching piece of it, for me, I was excited to start a business. And so just like when I was in South Africa, I'm like, okay, I could do this. I didn't need a license, and so didn't know the process of it. And so the coaching part of it really helped, because then there were so many things that I didn't know. But as I worked with Nancy, then came to find out, and I'm like, oh, this will require me to invest financially, which I didn't have much. And so it was tough. And then I think the other thing that kind of discourages upcoming new entrepreneurs is that the community we live in, people kind of discourage you, oh, that would not work. Because I was thinking about a clothing line. And so when we look at people are like, well, people shop at Goodwill. Do you really think that they buy your product? A lot of clothing lines, our retail stores are closing down, and that wouldn't work. And so for me, it's a passion I have as far as business is concerned. And I don't see any other place that I'd fit in, because I really want to do something that I love and would continue doing it. Then when you have the discouragement, especially from my own community, where I'd feel that I'd have more support in, saying that it wouldn't work out. And so that kind of discouraged me. But then I looked at it and I said, wait, let me kind of just redesign myself. Rather than just looking to serve my community, let me serve the whole community. Have men's things in, women's clothing, everything, kids. And so anybody who's looking for the little ones items could shop. And so that is the mindset I have now. And I decided I will go ahead and restart again. And so, Nancy, I was going to connect with you so that we could start that journey again. But now with COVID-19 and with cases in Mankato going so high, I'm like, I don't know if it's the right time to open. And so I want to be based strictly online. And once we see that maybe COVID is going down and the cases ain't so high, then maybe I could think about opening. But it's hard when you are discouraged as a first entrepreneur. I think the fact of being coached and just supported and having those resources on hand is very helpful. Because for me, I got discouraged not knowing. And by now, I think it was a year, 2017, I think, which I was excited to do this, or 2018. By now, my business would have started and I would have went further. But I guess by having a great team today, I'm excited that I'm here today to learn of the resources that are available. And so thank you, Ryan, for sending that email and sending the invite, or else I wouldn't have known. And so now I'm more excited knowing that there is that additional support. Maybe not from my community, but I think from people who are there to help push me, so that once I put my right foot forward and be able to make that move, I think other in my community will look at me and say, wow, she was able to do it, so can we. Who can we connect with, Habib? And I could be like, connect with Bukata, connect with Nancy, connect with Ryan, connect with Mike. These are the folks that will be able to help. And so for me, being able to have those resources actually will help my other community members be able to step in and be an entrepreneur.
Thank you, Viva.
So yeah, I can add some too. So I apologize. The construction out on my street hopefully it's not too distracting, but I think some historical context about this too is important, to the point about those resources within community, and that is typically with disenfranchised communities or communities who have not been engaged with around entrepreneurship, this idea of support within that community is relatively low. So to Viva's point about like folks don't believe you can do it, that's a message you hear a lot. And then in the same vein, if I'm only serving my community, then I may not be successful, right? So as a minority entrepreneur, one of the things that you have to be really good in or good at or do the research in is, so how do I serve my community and folks outside of my community? And so I think about if folks in predominantly white communities have to have that same sort of calculation, right? So how do I serve my community and folks outside of my community? Which, as we talk about minority entrepreneurs, the idea of coaching and consulting becomes important to connect folks to resources outside of their community, because most likely, if they're only serving their community in a predominantly white community like Mankato, you won't survive, right? And so I think it's important that knowing who's inside community to connect with, and really it's almost like cultural brokers more than anything, as there's most times not a heavy amount of resources, financial resources to help you get started. It's more of how do I provide this opening to Mike or to Gary or to Yvonne or Nancy that or Linda or Pam that then connects me to other resources, financial resources, legal resources that then help me to make my business, my venture, a success. And so I think that's just some context for us on the call to understand, because that idea of increasing minority entrepreneurs also means we have to take a look at some societal things that we also may have to play our role and our part in improving.
Mm-hmm. So we did receive speaking of resources, we did receive a request in chat if the Diversity Council has an incubator planned. It still is in the planning process, but Bukata did say he could share a little bit about what that plan is going to be.
So the idea is this, and it's that the council is looking at, and our plan is to roll out this way of having sort of social entrepreneurs to address community issues, right? And so not necessarily like and it would be a business, but like we would be taking in these ideas for how do we address a societal inequity or disparity. We would then provide that particular organization or that particular group kind of office space connections. We would play that cultural broker, basically connect them to resource, connect them to folks, provide them office space and internet and printing, and then try and help them to find an organization to pilot that idea within. And then much like other incubators, the idea is, so then what's the size and scope you want to go to? Do we still continue with this idea, or do we say it's probably not feasible? So the idea would be to take that same sort of incubator idea that we've done for businesses in terms of for-profit or small businesses, but make it aimed specifically at a social inequity within our community, and help to address, right, that social inequity using that business model of incubation that we've done really successfully for a long time. And so the council would be working with kind of social issues and social orgs to make that happen. So we plan to, and I'm working with my consultant, my coach Yvonne, to make that happen as we try and address things in Mankato that we can do better. And so I think it's a way of applying that business model in a sense to some of our social issues.
Awesome, thank you. Gary has his hand raised.
Hey, thanks. That's great to hear, Mankato, on that incubator idea coming along. So I'm anxious to see that really getting full bore. I think that is an important element to have within our supportive, entrepreneurial supported community. I think a related resource that people may or may not be aware of, we have drawn some attention to it some time ago, but maybe it's good to come back to, is shared working spaces, which now are somewhat limited, but we happen to have Stephanie Braun, I think, on the call here. That maybe Stephanie, if you could say some things besides Mogwai, there is another shared workspace. I can't think of it. It's been retooled to a different name. So Stephanie, you probably know, was Regis, but now it's been reopened, and I'm at a loss. But if you could talk about shared spaces being a resource for a startup community, and what it might, a startup business, and what resources you can bring as a shared space, would be great.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Stephanie Brown. I'm the director of Mogwai Collaborative. And Gary was referring to Jen is the director of what was formerly known as Regis, and now it's called Workspace on 3. So let's see. Obviously, pre-COVID-19, things were a lot easier, but that doesn't mean that we still can't collaborate and connect and support each other. And tools like this that we're doing right now is a great way to do that. And also, one thing I think that the lockdown has brought to light to everyone is how important it is to have work-life balance and not feeling isolated and lonely. And everybody now can relate to what it feels like to be an entrepreneur. You're working out of your home, you know, you might not be changing out of your clothes all day long, not seeing everyone. So spaces like that, spaces like I run, are a professional workspace that's completely fully furnished for many different types of organizations and people to work from. So you could be sitting right next to, like, Habiba. I was listening to your story, and all I was thinking was, yes, go online. Like, that's the direction things are going. Like, take this time, get your SEO, your, you know, all of that stuff, your photographs, your pictures, all of your sourcing, get that up online, and maybe do it so well that you become the person that's known from Mankato, Minnesota that did this. But like, let's say that you're working in a collaborative space. You could be sitting right next to one of my members who's a marketing pro, and that can help you with that, where you can go and get up and get a cup of coffee, and you run into other people that maybe you need some help with. Maybe one's a website programmer and you're like, my head works design, I see colors, I don't know how to program a website. And so spaces like that just make it easier for you to collaborate and connect with people and get more connected in our community. And obviously, I am in the Hubbard building, so I am closer to the Small Business Development Center and the CIE. So it's fun because we've got this nice little network going on where somebody can come in, have an appointment with the SBDC, come down to Mogwai, work in there. There's this whole flow. Yvonne was doing a great job up in the CIE, having tons of networking events that were going on. So yeah, does that answer your question a little bit?
Okay. Another resource, we don't want to forget about the university. So I want to turn to Yvonne to talk about some of the resources the university has available.
Hi, everyone. I work at the Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, and I'm also teaching in the management department. And I just want to mention a couple quick things that might be of help to diverse businesses, but any of our entrepreneurs in the area. One, of course, 1 Million Cups is not a university resource, but it's one thing that we help to support. I think 1 Million Cups is amazing. Everyone that's on this call and your friends are always invited. It's always free. And we are a community of people who support entrepreneurs, which I think is really energizing. I love Wednesday mornings. Love seeing all of you. Social Media Breakfast happens on the second Friday of each month, and it's a free digital marketing workshop where anybody can come, and right now it's online, so you can just sit and listen and learn about different kinds of digital marketing techniques. So that's available to everyone. I wanted to mention too that if you have a project, something that you think students might be able to help with, the university is actually pretty eager to hear about those. You can certainly contact me and I'll help get you to the right person. I might not be the right person, but the university is kind of a big place, and sometimes it's helpful just to have somebody who knows their way around. So contact me and let me know if you have a project that you think students might be able to help with, whether it's engineering students helping you to build a prototype or business students helping with a marketing plan. There are classes where the professors would be eager to have a real world project to give to the students to use for their classes. And I have students, I've heard and met students who are graduate students or finishing up their degree, and they really want something real and meaty that they can sink their teeth into just before they graduate, something they can put in their resume and say, I really helped this actual business with their project. For example, we had the Old Town Association had no money for their marketing, and we had a team of students in an integrated marketing class that created 6 different business plans and 6 different logos for them to pick from. And it was just a wonderful project for the students. They loved it. Great learning experience. The teacher loved it and wants us to give them another project. So, let us know if you've got something like that you'd like to have some students help with. Oh, and the university also has, physical locations and resources. The space in the second floor of the Hubbard building, even though it isn't the home for the CIE anymore, is still a university space. And they are anxious to have it used. So when things are a little easier to get together in groups, that space is an available space for people to do things and have organizational meetings and that sort of thing.
Awesome. Thank you, Yvonne. Yvonne touched on 1 Million Cups as a resource. I wanted to take an opportunity to double down on that a little bit and share a bit more. So a lot of the resources that we've talked about today are ones where people can get relatively consistent service, multiple meetings, things like that. Whereas 1 Million Cups is more of a one-off. But what 1 Million Cups offers for the people that come and present is an opportunity to get feedback from people who are complete outsiders to their product or their idea or their business. To get that feedback and to get good questions that need answers that cause you to make decisions that help move your business forward. It's also a great opportunity to find some connections. I know we've mentioned it's not a sales pitch, but there have been a lot of good connections that have come out of 1 Million Cups. Recently, we had 2 businesses that presented. You may have seen some of the information on it. One designed shirts and was cabin number 4, and then the other was Circle In, Jenny Bobo's. Out of that 1 Million Cups presentation, those 2 businesses decided to collaborate together and have a pop-up shopping event that helped both get some people to Circle In and helped get some of the shirts sold that Kate Hansen was making with cabin number 4. So It's really something we want to encourage people to come in and present. Dustin actually presented last week, and one of the people in the conversation said, "Oh, have you connected with Makerspace?" And Dustin was just sharing with us that he was over talking to Makerspace, and it looks like it's going to be a great collaboration opportunity that he wasn't aware of before he joined the event. So it's a really good opportunity to learn what are the other resources that are available. Um, I wanted to turn back to the participants in the conversation here. If there's any questions you have for any of the people who have shared resources so far today, again, please feel free to raise your hand, post your question in chat so we can call on you. If there's any resources that you're aware of that haven't gotten discussed so far today, really please, again, raise your hand or post your question in chat, and we'll call on you and let you share some information about that resource.
I'll mention someone who's a friend of Bukata's and a new friend is Destiny Owens. She has a business called Black Excellence in Minnesota. She does diversity training. She's amazing. And I just wanted to mention her as a potential resource for any organization. And if anybody wants her contact information, both Boo and I have it.
If I could speak to something too, and this goes to Mike, I know that Mike is being intentional about also diversifying our his kind of coaches or consultants for the SBDC as a way to provide better sort of inroads and integration within diverse communities. So I just wanted to call that out because I do think that is a really critical component, right, of increasing like this funnel of minority entrepreneurs is to have representation within those who would be reaching out to those communities. And so I just wanted to kind of call that out and raise that up because I know Mike is being intentional about trying to diversify his staff to have better inroads within those communities.
And Bukata, maybe, this is a question, I know we got a few minutes, but maybe you can address this. I mean, from a minority standpoint, what do you see as some of the challenges in the next year or two for minority businesses as we're kind of through this pandemic? What are you seeing from your perspective, and what is it that we as a community can do to better serve that segment of our community?
So I would also offer, it seems like Habib is much more down the entrepreneurial road than I am and understands that. So Habib, feel free to chime in. But, I would say, Mike, I would say part of it is just, I think the lack of a full and robust connection between communities. I think that hinders our ability to effectively kind of pass on this entrepreneur spirit to our minority communities. I would also say I think that um, one, it's hard right now for any entrepreneur in a pandemic, but I think understanding the historical components, right, in terms of communities of color and minority communities, that they're impacted even to a larger extent. And so I think right now, I think you see a lot of folks like Habib is going through this idea of, so how do I still start a business, possibly take it online, but still reach the folks you need to reach? Because part of, I think, entrepreneur kind of focus was being in relationship and in community, kind of connected to folks, passing cards out. I know I see Triple Falls on here as well. I mean, just being in space, right? And we're unable to do that to the extent that we need to right now. Um, and so I think that's part of the challenges that I think coaches and consultants and those who have been successful in entrepreneurship can try and help us figure out, right? Can try and help our community figure out. I would say I think Mankato has a really, I'm always high on Mankato in terms of our upside. I think because we have things like this, I think because we do have folks who are ready and willing to connect cross culturally, it and we're small enough that we can do that at a high frequency. I think we do have a chance to do something that no one else in the state can do, and that is create like this really thriving, robust kind of minority business, minority entrepreneurship enterprise kind of sector. So I'm up on Mankato. I just think in terms of this current time, it's just going to be tough.
Thank you.
Nancy.
I have an idea. And Habiba, you inspired this idea when you were talking about the fact that your own culture didn't support you in your entrepreneurial. Part of that is because they're not entrepreneurs necessarily, and that mindset is so different. So, I hope you don't let that get you down in the near future again. The idea is, what if, Bukata, what if, Mike, what if we all got together, Ryan and Yvonne, and we specifically and on purpose celebrated some form of public recognition of all of the local businesses that are owned by minorities, do feature splashes in press and on social media, and did signage at their location if they have a location, and did gatherings, small gatherings, not ribbon cuttings, but just show up and congratulate and make it so that it's shareable with all of the communities that may not be tapped into the typical hype and stuff. So Habiba and anyone else in the community in Bukata that can share with how else can we reach people meet people where they're at if they're not already an entrepreneur, and especially if they're a minority. How can we encourage them to recognize the value that some of you are already bringing in business into this community? Having a splashy event in front of the African fashion, or in front of the International Grocery, or one of the other restaurants, whatever that is. What if we did a campaign and drive it home, drive it as deep into the neighborhoods as we can?
That's a great idea, Nancy. I would very much support that. And I think the other thing is, we have, as Minnesota Council of Churches, we have a WhatsApp app, because most of our families do use WhatsApp to connect with families. And this is how we get information in regards to COVID-19 to them. We also have a Facebook community page. And so any events that's going on in town, that's where we can post it. And so even if they're not able to visually see it, but it will be sent to their phones and they will be able to see it that way. And so whatever idea you might have, I will be in support of that. And how we could get that to the families, MCC can really work on that to make sure that families are able to view this.
Wonderful.
I'd say, Nancy, one, I think that there is some sort of movement towards that. So I know that there's a Global Entrepreneurship Week that is being planned. I believe it's in November, that is meant to showcase, right, kind of our global entrepreneurs here in Mankato, and opportunities and resources and connections. And I know Yvonne would have more information about that. Also know that the council is teaming with GMG through some support from the city of Mankato to have a better idea of how many businesses we have in our community, to inventory that and to begin to lift those businesses up, Nancy. And then the third part would be, so I see a lot of other entrepreneurs or businesses in my screen. I see Dustin with the red truck behind him. I think the other thing is how we connect those businesses to folks already doing resources that may be able to provide them, right, with services for their businesses. I think that truly kind of connected and integrated approach to say, so here's what your business does, here are the resources your businesses need. So if it's office space, you can go to Mogwai. If it's some sort of logistical service or whatever else, who are those folks within our community that we can connect you with? I think becomes that third piece, because again, those minority businesses for the most part won't be successful if they're only catering to their community because of the size of their community. There's just not the critical mass there. So they need to be connected intentionally with other businesses in Mankato, other services that could move their business forward. So I think those three things are leading, Nancy, to your suggestion, and I think some of that is in the works right now. So I encourage everybody to be on the look for it.
It's a perfect lead in to mention Global Entrepreneurship Week. It's November 16th to the 21st, and we're hoping to have an event that would do some of what Nancy talked about. But I just sent Nancy a note inviting her to come to the next planning event, and anyone who is interested in helping with planning entrepreneurial celebration that week is invited. Just shoot me a note and I'll send you the invitation to the next meeting.
Okay, so if it's, because I'll be out of the country. I'm always taking a vacation every year, but so I'll be leaving the 12th and back the 27th. But if depending on COVID-19, but I would love to. So put me down if in case I do not travel. I would love to.
Everything's
And
going to be
Nancy-
online, Habiba, so you can participate from wherever you want.
And I think this is something that we can put on our team meeting for September 2, Nancy. So let's bring it up then too.
Wonderful. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
Habiba, you know what you have to bring back this time.
I have whatever I promised last time. We just didn't get to meet. And so I think the other struggle for the minority communities, especially for me, is picking a name for my business. Like, I really want my name to be represented. I want to carry on my name. And so I would like to go for Habib's Boutique or something that would carry on to my legacy. But then when you think about having to serve the broader community and people outside of my community, like when you say Habiba's, in mind, people just think, oh, it's more Islamic, it's scarves and it's clothing and it's a Muslim store. And so kind of how do you carry that legacy of your name, but then at the same time, get people to be interested in what you're selling, but so that it's not just the name they're looking at, but actually looking at what products you have. And so that is also another struggle as far as picking a name if you're trying to connect with the broader community.
Absolutely. Lots of branding work.
Mhm.
When you're ready.
I'm ready. Trust me. I've never been ready. I am more ready than ever.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
I just wanted to let everyone know if you guys need a space outside, the Hub Food Park's available. That's it. Until I think mid-October, we'll see how the weather holds up.
Ryan, I have the upcoming events up. So if you want to go through those, and we can wrap
Okay.
things up about 9:30.
Yep, we've hit 9:30 here, so thanks for the great discussion, everyone. We did have the upcoming community events. If there's anything else that people need to know about, please let us know. But we have the Women Entrepreneurship Series. Event number 1 is Bella Lamb from Coconut Whisk. She's going to be speaking on September 23rd at 4 p.m. Bella Lamb is an MSU Mankato graduate, if I understand correctly, and her business is currently through the works in the Shark Tank program. So hopefully we'll be able to see her make some national news sometime soon here. But if you want the opportunity to learn about her business earlier, she'll be speaking with the Women Entrepreneurship Series. Yvonne already spoke to the Global Entrepreneurship Week that is coming up from November 16th through 21st, as well as Social Media Breakfast, which is the second Friday of each month. Finally, AURI, that's the Agricultural Utilization Research Institute, has a webinar Wednesday series from 12 to 1 p.m. Are there any other community events that people would like to share?
Yes, I would like to share Wheeler Park tomorrow night in Lower North Mankato, the beautiful North Mankato. From 5 to 7, they're offering a music little concert there. So it's a beautiful place to be, great social distancing and wonderful music. I think that it's going to be a beautiful day tomorrow too. So see you there.
Awesome.
And I'll just add, before you go there, you should come to the farmer's market at the Hub from 3:30 to 6 and pick up your vegetables for the weekend. And Masad's will be there for dinner until 6:30, 7-ish.
What food trucks are going to be here for lunch tomorrow?
So today.
And today.
Today, Wednesday. Oh, so today is Greg's day, Wednesday. TNT Eats is there from 11 to 2. He always sells out, so get there early. And then tomorrow I have Lola's from 11 to 2, Masad's from 11 to 2, and then they're going to pick back up from 3:30 to 6 to go with the farmer's market. And then on Friday, Masad's is going to stay for Friday, and then Evan's Eatery will be there on Friday from 11 to 2.
Awesome. Okay, and then next week If you want to join us at 1 Million Cups, it is 1 Million Cups on the road, virtually on the road. So it'll be businesses from Springfield, Minnesota. We have the Good Life Cleaning Company, and we are still working to confirm.
Let me interject there that we have already accomplished, it just didn't make the screen, that their application is Loft Nutrition will be speaking. So I have two very good stories. Michelle was on the line here on the call from Good Life. I'm not sure if she's still with us, that she's juggling her business right now too, but good stories. And so I encourage you to be there and highlight what's happening in Springfield.
Just to remind all the community organizers, we will have a community organizer meeting after next Wednesday as well.
Well, thank you guys all for joining us today. You can connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. You can also go to 1 Million Cups Mankato. On Facebook, that is also where you're going to find all of our future events. They're shared as events on Facebook, and that will have the link to join all of the meetings. Thank you for bearing with some of the issues with last-minute changes we had today as well. So we appreciate you all for joining, and we hope to see you in the future.
Let's invite the Schwarmania fellow back at another time. We really love to hear his opinions and hear about his business too.
Yep, we'll need to get Ahmad on here for one of our presentations then, since
awesome.
Unfortunately he wasn't. That was completely our mix-up. We apologize for that. So, okay, thank you, everyone.
Bye.